So I have this theory, and it's for all video games where after a battle, you get money, whatever the money is of that game. So for this game, we're playing Final Fantasy IV, and we're getting Gil at the end of the game. And I tend to overanalyze everything. So here we got 8,000 Gil. Great. But where does that Gil come from? If you have any ideas of your own theories, let me know. But I'm going to share with you my theory. And I want you to tell me if you think it's just completely bonkers or if it makes sense. So there are kind of two different avenues that I think make sense. One avenue, which makes more sense if you're like near a town, which is a little darker, but if a monster eats like a person, which is horrible, but let's say that that happened, and inside that monster's stomach was a purse, and inside that purse was money. Okay, fine. During the battle, you skewered the monster, or you knew that there was a purse inside, and you gutted the monster and you got the purse out. And I think one thing to back this up is actually there's a side story or main quest or whatever in Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core. There's a story where a monster swallows a purse from a kid, and you have to kill the monster to retrieve the wallet, and then you bring the wallet back to the kid. Makes sense. Okay, the wallet was inside. That's where the money was. Fine. However, when you're on the moon, in this case, where does the money come from? Because every monster here has not eaten a person. I mean, that's too much. That's too much for me to take. So what I think actually the Gil comes from is there's someone in the party, which is crazy that they don't, like, maybe this is overanalyzing. It probably is. But there's someone in the party that is like a fur salesman or like rare antiquity salesman, because if you go to like a bazaar and you're like, oh, it's a seen eyeball from this random monster that can be used as a ingredient for an elixir, you know, or it's a claw that brings you good luck, like a rabbit's foot, you know, like different things that you would sell. Like you would sell antlers. So like that behemoth gives you tons of Gil because maybe the fangs are like trophies, or used in ceremonies or something like that. So it's funny because we just like go from one monster to another, you know, not think about this, but like here, this is a magical creature. So I think that parts of like the brain or like what are the spaghetti stuff is used by witches to like cast spells or make remedies or something. It doesn't have to always be for an evil purpose. But I always have this idea of like someone in the party after each battle being like, someone's got to pay for the potions, and how are we going to pay to get into the inn? Like, there's money doesn't just like fall from these monsters. So I'm trying to think of a way to rationalize how the money drops from them, right? And I think that there's like either everybody in the group like carries these special items. Like for some reason with this monster, I think it's the eyeballs. I don't know why, but like maybe there's a drink that's super popular in this universe and it requires an eyeball. And that drink is super expensive. Maybe that drink costs 30,000 Gil, you know, and so we get 65,000 Gils in the eyeballs. So like someone in this party is having a satchel full of these eyeballs. Like, okay, we just killed another evil mask. Oh, make sure to grab those eyeballs. They're worth 30,000 a piece. You know, and because it's such a dangerous animal or monster to fight that it's so rare. It just, let me know if you think this is bonkers, but like there could, just like animal mounts are worth a ton of money. Like a really big elk. You know, how much is a really big elk worth? Thousands of dollars. Like when it's mounted and it's taxidermied and like it's just a gorgeous animal, right? And people love putting them in their house. Not for me, but whatever. But like a red dragon mount or a behemoth mount could be worth 50 grand. So not only do we have like someone, you know, basically gutting these animals, monsters after we fight each one, but maybe in the group there's also like a taxidermist Or like it's a trade that you pick up, you know, along the way. You're like, well, you got to make a living, you know. Killing the monster doesn't pay the bills, but taxidermy does. But like if you had a red dragon taxidermy and you sold that to the King of Baron, like you could get 130,000 from that, you know. But just the hilarious idea of like, okay, let's drag this out. We're so far into the dungeon, let's drag this thing out. That's just things I think about. So let me know if you think this theory is super bonkers, or if you think there's some weight to it, or if there's some other way that the you know, the people are getting money. But it also like opens the idea of like, what are they extracting from each monster? So like that red dragon, maybe the dragon scales are used in blacksmithing, you know? Or here, maybe the talons are used as arrowheads, or maybe there's gastric juice inside of this one, or this one has a magical counter, so maybe their whiskers are used for like magic wands or a magic staff or something like that. That's just my theory that I've had for many, many years on how you actually get Gil from these fights. Experience makes sense. Experience is like the more you fight that monster, the more you know how that kind of monster reacts and what's weak against that monster. So it's more of like an intelligence. Plus, the more you work out, the stronger you get. You know, that makes sense to me. But where does the Gil come from? So like here, you break up, let's see if we even get Gil from this monster. But if you know, broke this up and you bottled some of this essence, you know, I could just imagine like a witch's brew like being, and you know, Azemus's breath essence. Let's see, I don't know how much HP we're gonna get from that, or Gil we're gonna get. Because you can buy and sell things in this game. You can buy and sell items. And so sometimes, another reason why I think that it's a viable option is sometimes these actually drop potions or Zeus's Wrath or like different items that you can just straight up sell to a merchant. And sometimes those items just sell for 1 Gil. Like, oh, okay, I'll give you 1 Gil for it. Like, it's not really useful. So yeah, so here you get 50,000 Gil. So I mean, maybe you bottle some of that up before it dissipates. Okay, wait. There's one other theory that I forgot to mention besides the taxidermy, besides the collecting of different parts of the monster, and it's bounties. So that could be a way that people get money. So if there's like a bounty, not so much on Zemus's breath, that may be a bad example, but maybe like there are wolves in the forest and the wolves are terrorizing the village, and they put a bounty out on, you know, any wolf you kill, you pull the teeth or you pull proof, because that happens in real life. Like there were snakes that they would be bounties on. I don't know what country, but I think Britain at one point in history was giving a bounty out on rattlesnakes. And so every snake tail that you brought in, proving that you killed a snake, they would give you, let's say, $10 or whatever, which is great. So that could be one way that you do it. So it'd be like a generic bounty that's like kind of between the lines of the story. You don't have to talk someone to like get that bounty back, but it just kind of does it automatically in the game. Like, that's cool. A side note on that story with Britain, you can look this up, it's hilarious. Their intention was to get rid of the rattlesnakes or whatever this dangerous snake was. I don't know if it was rattlesnakes, but that was their intention, right? Well, it ended up being the opposite effect, because the people that were hunting the snakes found out that it was more cost effective to breed the snakes and then sell, like raise them and then sell the snakes, like kill them and sell them. And so they would just like, the whole business was to raise and breed these poisonous snakes. Well, so Britain caught on and realized that they were just breeding these snakes. Like, how are you finding this many snakes? This is ridiculous. Well, we'll pay you out. So then Britain stopped the program. Well, then what do these breeders do? They're like, well, I don't want these snakes. And so they just released the snakes. So at the end of this program, there were more poisonous snakes in this country than at the beginning when they started this bounty program, because there were so many breeders apparently, which is just so funny that like, the intent was one thing and then it caused something completely else. Just the exact opposite of what they were going for. Yeah. So the bounty thing is definitely a theory. But I think that the taxidermy and the, like, they're actually traders, you know? Not traitors, but like traders, like they sell, you know, pelts and witch items and like potion remedies and stuff like that. And they go from town to town, so it does feel more tinkery. Oh, Zemus's Mind. I don't think I've ever fought one of these. That's a super rare one. Oh, do I have to do magical attacks on this one? Yeah, see, this one could be like, for a migraine cure, you need 3 parts of Zemus's Mind and a red dragon tooth, you know, in your potion. Well, where is that going to come from? I'm sure that there's a name. Isn't there a name of that profession, the person that goes out and collects these from monsters? I mean, there are whole industries where they essentially breed certain types of animals so that they can extract, you know, certain things. Like, I think bee venom is something. I know snake venom does a lot in the medical field. So, like, they raise snakes so that they can, you know, export venom. Oh, scorpions. Scorpion venom's a huge one. So, I mean, there's real life, like, examples of companies that do this. Anyway, let me know what theory you like the most, and I'd love to hear some other theories that I haven't thought of. Okay, bye.